The story of the lion. In Africa, television is not the main object of entertainment. Stories are told as lessons to learn of the past. One of the most famous stories is the story of the lion. Every night before bed, the father would tell his son of the wonderful strength and power of the lion, how the lion was the king of his domain and could not be defeated. The young boy was captivated by the strength and character of the lion and always held this animal in high esteem. Because of these stories, the son developed strength, courage, and kindness. Later in life, the young boy left his country and moved away. Upon entering school, he began to hear more stories of the lion. But these stories were different. The lion was no longer strong and proud. In fact, the lion was defeated by the weakest of animals. The young boy went to his teacher in a state of confusion and said, "Teacher, why are these stories different from the stories in Africa?" The teacher said, "That's the way life is." The young boy was still confused. Upon returning to Africa, the son immediately approached his father. "Father, you told me that the lion was strong and unbeatable, but when I went to school in America, it was said that the lion was weak and easily defeated. Father, how can that be?" His father said, "Son, don't be confused. The reason why the lion is portrayed this way is because the lion does not know how to write stories. Until the lion learns how to write his own story, he will always be portrayed otherwise." According to its inhabitants, gold came from the south, the salt from the north, and the divine knowledge came from this majestic city. Over time, its unique geographical position enabled it to become the natural meeting point for many significant peoples of Africa, namely the Mandinka, Songhai, Wangara, Fulani, and the Tuareg. The city owes its name to an African woman who was the trusted keeper of the water well and merchandise that the travelers would leave from one season to another, which resulted in the establishment of the successful trade routes. The woman's name was Timbuktu, and the city became Timbuktu. It is to this privileged position that Timbuktu owes much of its historical dynamism.
Timbuktu, c'est la capitale des manuscrits, non seulement au 15e, au 16e siècle, mais même dans la première moitié du 20e siècle.
From the 9th century onward, Timbuktu emerged as an important trade center where goods from West Africa and other parts of Africa were traded. Timbuktu's prosperity attracted people of all backgrounds, both African scholars and merchants. When trade was thriving in Timbuktu, the goods most demanded were gold, salt, and books. And the books were the refined works of the native scholars. The emperor of Mali, Mansa Musa, also known as Kanka Musa, was so taken with the thriving economy of Timbuktu. He was not only attracted to its prosperity, but was so impressed with its deep African Islamic tradition and the highly advanced intellectual contributions that he captured the city. Upon capturing the city in 1324, Mansa Musa set out on a pilgrimage to Mecca. When he returned, accompanying him was one of the greatest architects of the time, an Egyptian named Abu Ishaq as-Sahili. Sahili was paid 200 kilograms of gold to build the Niger River University, also known as the Grand Mosque. In addition, Mansa Musa also built a royal palace for himself, another mosque in Jenne, and a great mosque in Gao, all within 1 year. Mansa Musa's effort to beautify the architecture of Timbuktu was part of a great plan to make the city a place flourishing with both wealth and knowledge. So he brought scholars from all over Africa to teach, as well as other parts of the world. To his great surprise, the emperor quickly discovered that some of the scholars he had brought over lacked the level of scholarship that he was hoping for. In fact, when compared to the native black scholars already present in Timbuktu, he found that their knowledge and mastery of the sciences paled in comparison. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 had made Mali known worldwide. The great ruler took 60,000 people with him, 15,000 camels and horses, each pulling 300 pounds of gold. Every city in which he stopped, Mansa Musa gave gold in charity to the people. During Mansa Musa's visit to Cairo, he was often asked how he became the emperor of Mali. Musa explained that his uncle and predecessor, Abu Bakr II, was a passionate explorer. In 1307, Abu Bakr II decided to set sail in search of a sea route to Mecca and to discover for himself the mysteries of the ocean. When Abu Bakr and his maritime expedition left the shores of Senegal, they sailed straight into the Atlantic Ocean. It was reported that they encountered so many difficulties and challenges that he had to return to Senegal. Soon after, Abu Bakr reorganized his expedition, collected enough provisions, and gathered a large army to accompany him. This time, Abu Bakr, along with 1,000 ships filled with learned men, explorers, and soldiers, sailed through the Atlantic Ocean, but never to return. So Mansa Musa became the natural successor. Today, there is strong historical evidence that Abu Bakr II was the first one to set sail to the Americas about 200 years before Christopher Columbus. By the 12th century, there were 25,000 students attending the University of Timbuktu. The city had 100,000 residents, so approximately 1/4 of the population were students.